Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert. We've got a huge amount of news to talk about today. We have seen some fake news floating around about spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance today, and I think this has got more implications than we first thought. We could be seeing a huge delay in the spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance. Today I will be talking about why I think that will be the case. We are going to run through the latest cryptocurrency news. A lot of it will be on the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Then we'll talk about the new updates from Binance, and we'll take a look at what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news before we analyze the price of Bitcoin. So first of all, let's take a look at what is going on here. So the price of Bitcoin shot up to the upside very, very quickly. This is on the 15-minute chart here. We did touch that $30,000 level for Bitcoin, what a lot of us have been calling for a long time now, and then we realized the news was fake. So where did this news come from? Well, Cointelegraph tweeted out that the iShares spot Bitcoin ETF had been accepted, and for a brief moment in time, things felt like they did back in 2020, 2021. Things felt amazing. And then it all came back shattering down when you realised you couldn't really find any other source quoting this news. So it was very, very disappointing to see that this news wasn't true this morning. And there are two ways to look at this. First of all, you can see that the acceptance of a spot Bitcoin ETF would have a positive impact on the price of Bitcoin. We've seen how the markets react off this news. Now, this is going to get a lot of people excited. A lot of people are anticipating that we're going to see those spot Bitcoin ETFs, and they've seen the price action with their own eyes of what would happen upon acceptance. Now, this will be people within the markets and people out of the markets as well. So this may trigger some excitement about the markets again, and people may want to be getting in before the real acceptance and before the real news arrives. However, there is some really bad news to come off the back of this. So we need to go back to what happened last week. And we'll start from the beginning. First of all, we did hear on Thursday, was it? It was on Sunday and Saturday, Friday. One day last week was 45 days after the SEC lost their lawsuit against Grayscale. So I'm going to start this story right from the beginning. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss these live updates. We do them every single weekday. We are rewinding now to what's happened with Grayscale, and then we'll fast forward to talk about the implications today will have on spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance. So first of all, Grayscale, big company, they created a Bitcoin trust, GBTC. They tried to transfer that into a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC, the regulators in the US, said, no, you cannot do that. Now, the reasons they said you cannot do that is because they said there's insufficient surveillance on trading platforms to detect fraud and manipulation. Now, Grayscale went to court and filed a lawsuit with the SEC over this argument and said it wasn't sufficient since the SEC have approved the issuance of ETFs that hold Bitcoin futures tied to the same underlying market. And because these two stocks essentially have the same underlying markets, they can't accept one and not the other and give that reasoning. So essentially, the SEC lost that lawsuit against Grayscale, and then we were looking at what would happen in the next 45 days. The SEC had 45 days to appeal that decision in the courts, but they did not do so. So at the end of last week, we saw a lot of excitement around that because we were saying the SEC aren't going to try and refight that battle. They know they lost in court against Grayscale. They know that they need to either accept Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF or find another reason to reject it or delay it. So that was the conclusion that came out at the end of last week, and people were very, very excited about what's to come with spot Bitcoin ETFs. We all know the excitement that there is around that in the last couple of months. Grayscale have really paved the way for that, fighting that legal battle in courts with the SEC, and winning that lawsuit was a huge win for the cryptocurrency space. But as I just said, the outcome of that was either we saw an appeal from the SEC, which we did not see, and the 45 days have now passed, so they cannot appeal that decision for the lawsuit. The second option was the SEC find a new reason to either reject or delay a spot Bitcoin ETF if Grayscale mandatory apply. Or the third reason, or the third scenario is they just accept these spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, we all know that Gary Gensler and the SEC aren't going to go down without a fight. They've been charging the cryptocurrency space with anything possible. The last year, they've been attacking the cryptocurrency space in every single way that they have possibly been able to do so, basically. And what we've seen here is what's happened today with this fake news coming out and the price of Bitcoin changing very, very quickly could be a reason and something that Gary Gensler and the SEC could get hold of and use as a reason to heavily delay or reject the current applications for spot Bitcoin ETFs. So we've seen here that the reason that Grayscale won their lawsuit against the SEC was because the SEC had rejected Grayscale's Bitcoin spot applications because there was insufficient surveillance on trading platforms to detect fraud and manipulation. But now we are seeing that what if the SEC can use what happened today to detect fraud and manipulation in the markets and say, look, you can't have a spot Bitcoin ETF for this product. So we're seeing here a lot of speculation over this, and this is a fear that is growing in the markets right now. The price of Bitcoin absolutely pumped and absolutely dumped very, very quickly up to that $30,000 level, and $62 million worth of trades were liquidated off that fake news report. Now, we have heard from Cointelegraph saying they apologize for the tweet that led to the news spreading across social media. An internal investigation is currently underway. They have said they will share the findings of the investigation within 3 hours. Now, it's been 2 hours so far, and we've not yet heard from Cointelegraph, but big news here. Obviously, they have heavily impacted the price of Bitcoin. Is Gary Gensler going to hold on to this and say, we have reason to believe there is price manipulation and fraud going on, and this asset is not something that we would like to create a spot ETF for at this point in time? Is this going to be something that Gary Gensler and the SEC use to delay the spot Bitcoin ETFs? Now, there's a lot of anticipation for these spot Bitcoin ETFs. We've seen BlackRock, Fidelity, and many other major institutions in the US apply for spot Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of excitement has come around that. The final deadline for the SEC to make a decision on those is in March next year. That is fast approaching, and we've seen a lot of people saying, look, we could see them delay this even further. We don't know how they're going to do that, but it is likely that we aren't actually going to see a decision on this just yet. And now we could be giving him ammunition to delay the spot Bitcoin ETFs even longer. Now, that's not what I want to be hearing. That is not what I want to be seeing, but this is what's being talked about at the moment. There are a lot of fears of the delay of all the spot Bitcoin ETFs getting delayed even longer. I would personally like to see a huge acceptance of spot Bitcoin ETFs, but I can just see it getting delayed for the long term, unfortunately. Lee says Bitwise ETP second deadline today. Can't find any info on it though. And BlackRock's second deadline tomorrow. Was the BlackRock ETF article fabricated or just mistimed? I mean, it would be brilliant if it was accepted. I haven't got the dates up here. Let's see if we can pull the dates up for the ETF deadlines. Let's search that on Crypto Saving Expert, because we have spoke about this in an article before. Spot Bitcoin ETF deadlines, and see if what can we search for that's going to come up here. Spot Bitcoin ETF, that will come up with ETF. Here we go. So spot Bitcoin ETF, we've seen a huge amount of applications obviously within the last couple of months. Let's see if we can come up with, if we can find the table that has all of the information in there. It's somewhere in one of these articles. Let's see if we've got it in here. So SEC must decide no later than mid-March. Here we go. Here are the dates for the ETF applications. You can see Grayscale, 21 shares, BlackRock, Bitwise, VanEck. A huge amount of companies have a file for spot Bitcoin ETFs right now. The first deadline was in let's get this right. The first deadline, the filing date was in a mixed range. The first deadline for the current spot Bitcoin ETF applications was in September. It always throws me off when it's month before day. Then we've got the second deadline, 17th of October. We can see a huge amount of ETFs here have that second deadline there. Then we have the third deadline, which is in January of next year, and the final deadline in March of next year. So basically this means the SEC have to give an announcement at these points. They're either going to delay them, reject them, or accept them. I would like to come on here and say, do you know what? I think it is just mistimed, and we are going to see an acceptance tomorrow. But it is possible. We don't know yet. It is possible, but it just doesn't seem likely to me. It seems likely to me that the SEC are going to push off the acceptance of these ETFs for as long as possible. Now, we are all expecting that, so maybe they'll shock us, but who knows right now? Things aren't looking too good. As I've just said, the price of Bitcoin absolutely soared and absolutely tanked, and there's a common theory going around on Twitter right now that we could see Gary Gensler use this manipulation of the market as a reason to delay these the acceptance of spot Bitcoin ETFs even further, and that is definitely not what we do not want to see. As I've just had that table up, I've already lost it. Here we go. You can see here the Bitcoin halving is in April next year. That is what has historically triggered a bull market. So that has been very exciting that the final deadline is in March next year. Hopefully, we do get the acceptance of spot Bitcoin ETFs before the next Bitcoin halving. We're supposed to, if everything stays on track. But you know what things are like here. We never really know for sure. But we will be keeping our eyes peeled for the next deadline tomorrow. Keeping my account open and ready to action at any point in time. It's been a crazy day. We saw the price of Bitcoin absolutely soar, and a lot of people entered longs at these positions. Thankfully, I did not enter a long on this position. I was about to enter one, and then things just looked a little bit fishy. I saw the news on Twitter and everyone was getting really excited, and then I was searching it, and I could not find a single article reiterating the fact that it was a spot Bitcoin ETF, and that sprinkled a little bit of doubt in my mind. So I did not, thankfully, enter a long position on this. However, if we were to see a more credible source posting that there was a spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance, it would be a pretty interesting long position, because we do not know how high the price of Bitcoin would go in that scenario. Let's see what else is going on here. So a big piece of information that I'd like to point out, this is a reason why I think we will see the spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance at some point in time. And I personally do believe it is inevitable. I think it is something that is going to come. I think they're going to delay it as much as possible, but I think at the end of the road, we are going to have a spot Bitcoin ETF. We are seeing here the US government is one of the world's largest Bitcoin holders. They hold over 200,000 Bitcoin, worth an estimated $5 billion. So they do have a little bit of an incentive to accept the spot Bitcoin ETFs and see the price rise pretty nicely, but we'll be keeping a close eye on that and seeing whether they are selling these assets or if they are just going to hold on to these. So 69,000 Bitcoin was held by the US government, which was seized in November 2020. Additionally, 94,000 Bitcoin held by the US government from January 2022. And another 51,000 from the seizure of Bitcoin held by James Zong, also linked to the Silk Road marketplace. But the US government are in no rush to sell their Bitcoin. Although the regulators don't make it easy for the cryptocurrency space to grow, the regulators seem to be holding onto their Bitcoin, hodling with diamond hands. So due to the massive amount of Bitcoin held by Uncle Sam, the crypto community has often been curious about what the US government plans to do with the stash. Some fear that a one-off massive sale of the Bitcoin could cause an enormous dip in the price. However, the possibility of a massive dump of Bitcoin by the US government is slim, since there is a lot of red tape on disposing of it. In addition, so the Bitcoin belongs to Bitfinex, which is working towards getting it back. Now, the government moves generally very slow to dispose of these assets because they've got to do a ton of due diligence. The cases are often complicated and there's a lot of red tape. For example, in March, the US Department of Justice sold 9,861 Bitcoin, and we all heard about that, and there was a huge amount of fear around that. Let's see in the chat. Lewis Vision said, but this is the reason why BlackRock should tell Gary the market is waiting for a spot Bitcoin ETF. The market is waiting for a spot Bitcoin ETF. I cannot reiterate that anymore. When a spot Bitcoin ETF arrives, literally anybody can diversify into Bitcoin, into crypto. Anybody that has a pension, anybody that has a financial advisor, they can just say, look, let's put 1% of my portfolio into Bitcoin. And they can do that as easily as investing in a stock. It makes it so much easier, and we could see see a huge amount of adoption off the back of a spot Bitcoin ETF. I definitely believe we will do if we get these spot Bitcoin ETF accepted, but I just think it is going to take a little bit of time. Now, as pointed out by Lee there, we do have a second deadline for the SEC to determine whether they are going to deny, accept, or delay the spot Bitcoin ETFs from many of the major companies in the US. Dylan Fowler says they printed tomorrow's news today. That is the best case scenario. And that is the absolute best case scenario. We've got three scenarios here. We've got today's news was actually tomorrow's news, and there has been acceptance of a spot Bitcoin ETF. That would be amazing. I would expect some pretty nice price action for Bitcoin if that were the case. I do personally think that is a little bit, I think the probability of that is pretty low. The second scenario is that we see a delay of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We see no real scenario after this, and we just see this continue and wait until March next year when they have the final deadline and they decide that they have to then make a decision. And off the back of what happened last week, when Grayscale have won that lawsuit against the SEC, and it's been 45 days, and the SEC haven't appealed that decision for the lawsuit. That was a huge win for spot Bitcoin ETFs, because it basically meant that the SEC had to either come up with a new reason why they were rejecting spot Bitcoin ETFs or just accept them. That was a massive win. I've had about 4 thumbnails created for today's live stream because I didn't know what time I was going to do it, and I made one yesterday ready for today, and it was going to be about the SEC not appealing the lawsuit and how great it was for the cryptocurrency space because the SEC had already run out of reasons to reject the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And then we heard this news today that they were accepted. So I was like, brilliant, new thumbnail created. And then we heard it was fake news. Honestly, it's been a crazy day. But it's nice to have a crazy Monday. Kicks the week off to a good start. Let's see what's going on here. Tomorrow we are going to find out what's happening with the second deadline. I would love to see the spot Bitcoin ETFs accepted, but again, I don't think it will happen. I would like to highlight again, there's a lot of speculation right now as to whether today's news could be used as a reason to delay or reject the applications for spot Bitcoin ETFs right now. We can see here that the SEC have previously argued that there's insufficient surveillance on trading platforms to detect fraud and manipulation. And today, what happened today could be called manipulation and could be something that the SEC and Gary Gensler could use against the cryptocurrency space to further delay the acceptance of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, I always say delay, not deny, because I do think spot Bitcoin ETFs are inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if, but I hope there's not a long road ahead. I hope they come in before the Bitcoin halving. I hope everything stays on track, but we have to be aware of that third scenario that has appeared today thanks to Cointelegraph. And this is why you should not read Cointelegraph's news. Cointelegraph today, with their fake news, have caused a crash in the markets, caused $65 million worth of Bitcoin being liquidated, and that includes $62 million worth of short liquidations and 13 in long liquidations. So that's a huge amount of traders being liquidated today. Do not read Cointelegraph. Read Crypto Saving Expert, the best cryptocurrency news platform out there. Go to cryptosavingexpert.com and go to our news tab here and get the latest cryptocurrency news. That's where we report, and we also do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We are currently on 11 likes for today's stream, and we've got many more concurrent viewers right now. So please don't forget to hit that like button and help us grow the channel here. We've been on this channel creating these live streams every single weekday for almost a year. Now, we started these live streams. Let's see when we first started these live streams, because it was a very long time ago. We are looking at the 7th of December 2022, and we even streamed on Boxing Day, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. We've streamed every single weekday since the 7th of December last year, and we have not missed a single day. So help support the channel. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. One day we will hit that 10,000 subscriber level. We're climbing to it very slowly. We've all been working hard. Well, I've been working very hard to make sure We don't miss a day, and we keep you up to date with what's going on in the crypto news. So make sure to give us a like and make sure to tune in every single day. Let's see what else is going on here, though. Let's move on from those spot Bitcoin ETFs. It is a massive story, but we've got more to talk about today. Maybe we can circle back around to them later in today's stream. What have we got here? Binance to stop accepting new UK users to comply with advertisement rules. So new regulation came in the UK on Sunday. Yesterday for cryptocurrency, a huge change for UK cryptocurrency and how the future of cryptocurrency, how the cryptocurrency space will grow in the UK within the coming years. And we are seeing here Binance is now not accepting new UK users to comply with ad rules. Now, first of all, we've seen a huge change in the advertisement space for cryptocurrency regulation in the UK, and we've seen a huge issue with refer a friend schemes for UK residents now, and we are now seeing Binance stop accepting new UK users. So if you already have a Binance account, you are in the elite club. New users starting Monday. If you are a Binance user and you've not KYC'd or whatever, I'm going to do so before Monday just to make sure I can keep hold of my account. But let's move on to the next story here and see what else is going on. The SEC will not appeal the court's Grayscale ETF decision. That was what happened on Sunday. We've already discussed that. We've got Ferrari now accepts crypto payments for its luxury sports cars in the US. So Ferrari has partnered with BitPay to integrate Bitcoin and crypto payments for its luxury sports cars in the US. The company hopes to expand crypto payments to Europe depending on demand. So that is exactly what we want to see. Let's see what else is going on here. We have, my mouse is not working again. Here we go. FTX moved $122 million worth of Solana. If we take a look at what's gone on with Solana in the last couple of hours, then let's take a look at the markets tab here. Solana is currently ranked number 8 in terms of market cap, which shocks me every single day. This token has got a huge amount of FUD around it, and it still manages to hold that market cap there. You can see here it's trading at $23.22. It had a little bit of volatility today over that spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance. What we are seeing here is there has been some price movement, but it's not been too significant. Now, there's a lot of FUD spread around Solana because FTX hold a huge amount of Solana tokens. Now, when FTX fell back in November last year, the one thing I did was short Solana because FTX hold a huge percentage of Solana tokens. Solana was one of my favorite tokens in the previous bull market. It was one that arrived out of nowhere and performed incredibly well. One that I managed to take profits from nicely. But after FTX fell and so they were holding Solana, it's not something I've touched since. Now, there's a strong community around Solana. I can say that. There's a huge community around Solana. They hold a huge amount of cryptocurrency events all around the world. I hear a lot of them in Europe pretty frequently. And the community is growing and growing and growing. But we still have the fear of what's going to happen with FTX's assets. Now, FTX have been given the green light to sell their own coins, to sell their altcoins, to liquidate their assets, to get that liquid cash so that they can move forwards. And with that, we could see a huge sell of the Solana tokens, and that could massively dump the price of the asset. And we've been having, these alarm bells have been sirening for months. We're almost a year since FTX collapsed, and we've had these fears around FTX dumping their Solana tokens for a year, but the community seems to continue to grow. The events around the world seem to continue to increase, and the price is pretty stable, and it's really, really shocking me. This is not something that I expected for the Solana token. Honestly, when FTX happened, I thought it had seen its fate and it was just going to continue to go downhill from there, and it was a token that was going to fall off the face of the earth. But it's still ranked number 8 in terms of market cap, even though we have these fears of what FTX are about to do with their tokens. So I can praise those that have been holding on for long term. Still not something I'm going to invest into because I still am very much aware of those fears. But it has been performing well. Let's see what else is going on here in the cryptocurrency news. Lee says, love the idea of buying a Ferrari with SHIB or Pepe. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, or hit that bell notification button. If you are new here, we do these live streams every single weekday, talking about what's going on in crypto, talking about what's going on with Bitcoin. Today has been incredibly eventful. We've seen the fake acceptance of a spot Bitcoin ETF. We saw what would happen if a spot Bitcoin ETF was accepted. And then we saw what did happen when it's fake news that spot Bitcoin ETF is accepted. We saw the price of Bitcoin spike all the way up to $30,000 and then come all the way back down to $28,000. What I would say is the price of Bitcoin is still up in the last 24 hours, up 4.45%. We have still seen a massive gain. And as Lee pointed out at the start of today's stream, we are waiting on tomorrow because tomorrow we are going to see the second deadline for many of the leading spot Bitcoin ETF applications where the SEC will either reject, delay or accept the spot Bitcoin ETFs. So there's still some more excitement to come this week in the markets. Don't just tune out because the news was fake. There's still some excitement here. Maybe we'll see the acceptance tomorrow. Maybe we'll see the price rally tomorrow. I personally don't think it's likely, but it's something that I'll be keeping my eye on because we've seen what happens to the price of Bitcoin if a spot Bitcoin ETF is accepted. And if that were to happen again, I think we're all ready for it. I think we're all prepared for it. I think today was a reminder to get ready because when a spot Bitcoin ETF comes, it is going to change the game. Literally anybody can access Bitcoin. People that have retirement funds or just investing, have a financial advisor, they can all say, look, let's allocate 1% to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is seen as a speculative asset. A lot of people hear about it every 4 years and then forget about it during the bear market. And when that bull market does hit again and the excitement reaches those retail investors that haven't yet touched cryptocurrency, they may say, look, I've missed out on it before. I don't want to miss out on it again. Let's just allocate 1% of my portfolio to crypto. And it will be that easy. And that's the difference. And that's why we want to see spot Bitcoin ETFs be accepted prior to the next Bitcoin halving, because if the next Bitcoin bull market comes with a spot Bitcoin ETF already in place, it will change how much adoption we see. The reason we see these bull markets is because we get FOMO, we get more people wanting to enter the space, and we get that excitement over what's to come. Now, if it's even easier for people to access these assets and diversify into crypto and get that small amount of exposure, that is perfect for a bull market, and that could change the game. We could see a huge amount of adoption. In fact, I was reading an article earlier today where there was discussions of how much a spot Bitcoin ETF could change the space. And one analyst said that they expect that a BlackRock ETF could create the demand for 10 million, what would now be priced at 10 million Bitcoin. Now, if BlackRock have to buy 10 million Bitcoin, they literally can't. But they would push the price of Bitcoin up massively. And that's why there's a huge amount of expectation and speculation that we could be seeing a 300,000, no, not 300,000, a six-figure price for Bitcoin within 2030. But let's just be prepared for that. See what's happening now. This is all speculation. We don't know what's going to happen. As I said, we could be seeing spot Bitcoin ETFs being delayed even longer than that final deadline because of what's happened today. It could be seen as market manipulation, and the SEC could use that as a reason to not have Bitcoin as the underlying assets. We have seen them previously deny spot Bitcoin ETFs because of insufficient surveillance on trading platforms to detect fraud and manipulation. And if today's acts can be seen as manipulation, they could use it as a reason to delay the ETFs even further. So that's something that we are looking at today. But let's continue with the cryptocurrency news here and see what else is going on. Apple have re-added MetaMask to its App Store after a brief removal. So on Saturday, I believe, MetaMask got removed from the App Store. Caused a little bit of fear and FUD in the market, but then they did get re-added, and they have said if you see any fake apps, make sure to report it. So I imagine it's because there were a lot of fake applications going around App Store trying to remove them all, and they've accidentally taken down the real one. But let's continue on to the next story here. MetaMask is back. The next article is Justin Sun is the largest individual Ethereum staker. So the Tron founder is reportedly the largest individual staker of Ethereum. On Sunday, Wu Blockchain posted to Twitter, the address tagged Justin Sun is probably the largest individual ETH staker. The two addresses tagged Justin Sun currently had 282,000 Ethereum, worth $440 million almost, staked on Lido. Now we've got the two addresses here in this article. And you can see here, the monthly rewards are looking like they are $1,224,000. That would be pretty nice. So 9,296 Ethereum per year on his staked holdings. That would be absolutely lovely. Imagine that as your passive income. In March, the founder was charged by the SEC with allegations of fraud and security violations, and some reacted to the charges by stating that the SEC's motion lacked merit and that he and Tron were eager to cooperate with governments and regulatory agencies. But that is absolutely crazy. That is a huge amount of Ethereum to be earning in passive income every single year. The yearly rewards are looking like 14 million, almost $14,700,000 at the current price for Ethereum. Now, we all know that the price of Ethereum is low right now. The price of Ethereum is currently at 1,578. Now, if you believe there's going to be another Bitcoin bull market and cryptocurrency bull market, and many of you will believe that Ethereum could be at the forefront of that, and his rewards could be insane. That is unimaginable. Let's see what else is going on here. YouTube may consider selling its $100 million crypto holdings. The crypto purchase in 2021 is down 25% to $75 million. Not a successful trade right now. Obviously, we are in a bear market. They may shift to focus on AI. But pretty disappointing. But if the cryptocurrency market continues in a way that I expect it to, I imagine they'll be back. Let's see what's going on here. On the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, let's zoom out and see here. We have that massive wick there. We are still up for the day in terms of Bitcoin price. To be honest, when I heard this news was fake, I was expecting more of a drawdown back to the downside. But I think with the price action, a lot of people have seen how the price of Bitcoin could move if we do get a real spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance. And therefore, people are realizing they want to be in before that happens, if it happens. And we've got that second deadline tomorrow, as Lee pointed out earlier in today's stream. So that may be the reason that people are looking to invest right now, hoping that we do get the acceptance of those ETFs tomorrow. Let's take a look at the daily chart here. Everything's just so wicky because we've not seen much price action. We've seen so much sideways action. There's so many wicks on the smaller time frames that it's so hard to find some pretty nice levels of support and resistance. What we've got here is we are re-attacking that previous level of resistance. So if we take a look at what's been going on here, we've definitely had a level of resistance here. Now this has acted like a level of resistance back in March, April this year, as a level of support back in May, as a level of resistance back in May, and then we've used it as a support here and resistance a couple of times as well. We did get heavily rejected from this zone recently, but we're now having another attempt at that. Now that's the $28,000 level to the $28,600 level. If we manage to break through that and close a daily candle above that, we could be trading back and up at these levels. And what that would mean is we could be within the zone where we should be re-attacking that $32,000 level. And we all know the importance of that $32,000 level. It was used as a level of support in the previous bull market and is very important. Now you can see here on the daily chart, this is something that I've been arguing for a pretty long time now. We are currently in an uptrend on the daily chart. We've seen a lot of people calling for more, lower prices, but we've not yet seen a break of this uptrend. What we've got is higher highs and higher lows, and you can see this clearly. This was not actually a lower low. This was a higher low, or the same low as some would say. So we are now at this point here. Now, if we see a strong rejection here and we get a lower high, then yes, I will admit defeat and I would admit that we have not we've broken that uptrend, but right now we've not seen that. What we've seen is these higher lows, or the same lows, these higher highs. Let's see if my mouse is going to work. Here we go. And if we manage to get periodically above that $31,770 level on the daily chart, we will have created a new higher high and we will have still not broken that uptrend. And that is something that's really important because people have turned bearish when the trend hasn't changed. The trend is your friend until the end. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. Obviously, I am kind of clinging at straws in some sense here. If we don't get the acceptance of that spot Bitcoin ETF tomorrow, which I highly doubt, this level of previous resistance is very strong and is we've had a strong rejection from it multiple times here, so we need to be cautious of that. In terms of levels of support, we have a couple here. We are looking at this one here, diagonally upwards at $27,000. We've also got a horizontal level of support. If we pull the rectangle tool back out and we take a look at these points here, we're looking at this particular range here, which is between the $25,600 level to the $24,850 level. Now we've got 16 likes on today's stream. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. I think a lot of you like these later live streams. I've been messing around with the times to see which ones you prefer. But let's run through quickly what's happened with these spot Bitcoin ETFs for those of you that have just joined. Spot Bitcoin ETF, we are waiting for the acceptance of these. We have been for a very, very long time now. We've just got news in. Let's pull that news up. That was breaking news right there. What have we got here? Israel's currency falls to weakest level against the US dollar in 8 years following the war outbreak. So that is very unfortunate there. And this could really impact the cryptocurrency markets as well. We will be discussing that at some point in time. But let's go back to these spot Bitcoin ETFs. What have we got here is the SEC has argued that there was insufficient surveillance on trading platforms to detect fraud and manipulation. That's why they've been rejecting Grayscale's applications for spot Bitcoin ETF over the last couple of years. But now the SEC have lost a lawsuit against Grayscale when Grayscale appealed that decision. So we were hoping to see a big win for the spot Bitcoin ETF scenario, because what we've seen with the SEC losing that lawsuit is either they need to find a new reason to reject spot Bitcoin ETFs or they need to accept them. So they were really fenced into the corner. So today we did see news that a spot Bitcoin ETF was accepted. It was fake news by Cointelegraph. If you want the best cryptocurrency news, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com. But back to the news story here. Basically what's happened here is Cointelegraph spread fake news. $65 million worth of Bitcoin trades were liquidated within minutes. And what we have seen is, will this give the SEC another reason to delay or even reject the spot Bitcoin ETF applications? We need to keep an eye on that. But we do have the updates coming tomorrow. The second deadline is tomorrow for the majority of these ETFs. We did see here Bitwise Bitcoin ETP Trust refiling. Their second deadline is today. So that's really important. I expect that will be rejected. I personally believe that out of all of the ETFs, they would either get accepted in all at the same time, simultaneously, or we'll see BlackRock or VanEck or any of those leading companies in the US get accepted first and get that first mover advantage. But that's what's happening in the markets right now. It's been a crazy, crazy day. Dylan Fowler says they printed tomorrow's news today. That is exactly what we'd like to see. The probability of that is pretty low, but we'll stay tuned on that. We will do a live stream tomorrow talking about what's happened with the spot Bitcoin ETFs, because we are due an update from the SEC tomorrow. So it is still a big day despite what's happened today. Who knows? Maybe they published the news today so that the impact tomorrow was a little bit less volatile, but who knows? We'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. Everything is speculation at this point in time. Obviously nothing is financial advice. We're just speculating on what's going on in the markets right now, sticking to the latest cryptocurrency news. Things have been crazy today. I like it when it's crazy. It's fun. When that news came out today, it literally felt like we time traveled back into the bull market, back into 2021. I loved it when the price was rocketing to the upside. That's what we used to see every single day. But anyway, that is all we have time for in today's stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. And I will be back here tomorrow with another cryptocurrency news update.